playing Charlotte's Bug, you're going to need Force Will. That's what you're going to need, Matt. He's playing as Dustin Klopping. He is playing Char Belcher. Both players here sitting at 4-0. And things could get a little bit difficult here for Hoey. You take a look at his main deck. How many Force Wills does he have hiding out there?
Only 2.
Okay. Some more on the sideboard, I assume. He's got the other 2 on the board.
He's got 2 in the board, and he's got some Flusterstorms.
All right, well, I wouldn't be surprised to see game 1 win here. Now, for Hoey, this is a big deal that he's actually on the play here, so he could probably start off with a discard spell to get an idea of what he's playing. So he's going to search on Underground, see, is it going to be Deathrite Shaman, or is it going to be a discard spell? I think that's the big thing here, because you see Klopping has kept his hand. Also, you don't know if Hoey has sat next to Dustin at all and say, I know exactly what you're playing, but he's going to find out right. No, he's not. I thought that was a Thoughtseize.
Oh, I thought it was a Thoughtseize too. Now, one of the best lines of play you can do in this is Thoughtseize into him. Belcher isn't Storm, but it plays a lot like Storm, and this probably has some goblins in it.
Let's see if he's going to go tick, tick, boom on this turn. He's got a land grant in his hand. I can't make out of it. I know he has a land grant and a Belcher. He also has a Desperate Ritual. All right, here we go. Chromox, Simian Spirit Guide. That's step 1. Now the jig is up, by the way.
Land grant, if you weren't sure.
Yeah. He's going to show you a hand of Desperate Ritual. I believe that's double Seething Song, Elvish Spirit Guide, and the Belcher. So if he is 1-land Belcher, which he is, he just has a Taiga, that means land grant's going to give him a land. That's going to get the Taiga. 2 is going to be 3 from Desperate Ritual. 3 is going to be 5. 5 is going to be 7 from Double Seething Song. 7 minus 4, that's 3. For the Belcher. 3 is the activation cost. And here's the thing. You can't not go for it at this point. You kind of put your hands up and you said, this is what I got. This is how Belcher works. Let's do this.
What are you going to do? You going to wait around for him to Turok to hit you?
Yeah.
For a Thoughtseize to hit you?
Yep.
Nope.
It's showtime.
Force a will or no?
Well, we're gonna find out right now if Hoey has one. I don't think he does, and he can act like he does as much as he wants to, but hey, you're going to go for this if you're the Belcher player. Here's a Seething Song. There's a Seething Song. That's 7 mana. Minus 4 is 3.
And the Elvish Spirit Guide in hand is there in case a daze were to happen.
I mean, of course,
there's no daze in this deck, but...
Charlotte's Bug, no daze is hanging out there, but in case there were, he'd be able to pay for it. He says, activate this, target you. This is where you flip over the deck. There you go. There you go.
And now, Matt, he gets the opportunity to look at it.
Yep.
Is there anything actually surprising in here from Dustin? Well, he's got some scritchy scratches on his deck list, so there were some changes at the last minute, but I don't see anything actually particularly surprising in here.
That is my favorite part of watching a Belcher player go to work, is turning over the deck and saying, here it is, this is what I've got, and what he's got is good.
His kill spells, in essence, are the 4 Belchers and the 4 Burning Wish. He does not run any main deck way to win that is not that. So there's no singleton main deck Storm card in there.
All right, so unsurprisingly, I think, Hoey loses game number 1 there. I think it's a tough matchup for him, game 1, but I think things do get a little bit easier after board. I'll let you start there, because we already mentioned the 2 Force Wills in his sideboard to go along with the main. Anything else there, though?
Absolutely. He has Thoughtseize ×2, so that he can go up. It looks like he does not have any Thoughtseizes in his main. Flusterstorm is an incredibly reasonable spell against a deck like Charbelcher, because in essence you can try to hit that last ritual. You think that's the important ritual, and then they might not be able to pay all of the mana that the Flusterstorm storm triggers are going to have, and then just the whole mana castle will collapse into the ocean. Arcane Laboratory, if you can make it up to 3 mana.
Yeah, that's actually pretty real. Deathrite actually lets you do that too.
Yeah, turn 2.
Turn 2, yeah.
And the other cards, Nile Spellbomb, not so exciting. Whip Flare, not for this matchup. Notion Thief, not for this matchup. Dismember, well, if you're going to go real deep to kill that Tinder Wall. And everything else you've heard.
Well, the Belcher sideboard, you don't really use a lot of cards. So you got Burning Wish targets and Shattering Spree, Diminishing Returns, Reverence, Silence, Infernal Tutor, Empty the Warrens, Tendrils of Agony. Sideboard cards that actually matter, cards that are actually kind of good against discard, but you don't have things, you have things that are good against reactive spells, like counter spells in Xantid Swarm and Guttural Response, but you don't have things that are good against proactive spells like Hymnotoric and Thoughtseize. So yes, we see here that Dustin does have access again to 4 Xantid Swarms and 3 copies of Guttural Response, which are going to be good against Force of Will, but you can't afford to dilute your deck very much because you want to make sure that your deck is consistently doing what it's supposed to do. Additionally, you don't have cards that are very good against Thoughtseize. Yes, a lot of your cards are redundant, but your actual kill pieces, Burning Wish, Empty the Warrens, and Goblin Charbelcher aren't. So, you know, you're going to be basically this deck that, yeah, you can board into cards that are good against reactive spells, but you're not good against proactive spells. And if the Shardless Bug player, which is Hoey, Thoughtseize, Hymnotorac, those are proactive spells.
Yeah.
So I think you're in this situation here where maybe you board in Guttural Response, maybe, but I think you just kind of maybe hope, just kind of cross your fingers and hope.
Well, I mean, at one of the Star City Games Legacy Open Series events, and I can't remember which one it was, but it was one this year. I remember I was being there with Matthias Hunt, and one of the players that made the finals was playing Charbelcher. He had never played the deck before that day, and he had a 0-card sideboard, a literal 0-card sideboard, because he was just like, you know, okay, buddy, I understand what you're telling me. I could sideboard this, sideboard that. I'm going to mess it up. How about we just run no sideboard cards, and we hope that that works out?
Hey, and I like it.
Yeah.
You know, I don't hate it at all. I mean, Belcher's sideboard, for the most part, doesn't get used very much. Again, you do have those swarms and those Guttural Responses, but those are against decks that have, like, heavy reactive spells, heavy counter magic. Against decks that have proactive stuff like Thoughtseize and Hymnotorac, it's just not, or Inquisition of Kozilek, it's not just going to be very good.
Yeah.
So, again, your sideboard doesn't get a lot of use. When you're playing Burning Wish, of course, you're going to want to have those Burning Wish targets, but even the targets here, usually Deathrite Shaman on turn 1, a lot of them aren't that good, as I think he might have the Arcane Lab Draw on turn 2.
Ooh, that'd be pretty good.
Let's see what Klopping has here. Gataxian Probe, a
Let's
little
see.
bit of info. Now, Hoey's hand, he's got a Brainstorm, a Hymnotorac, a Whip Flare, a Baleful Strix, and a Bayou. So if Klopping is on the Charbelcher kill, it's game over. But if he's on the Empty the Warrens kill, which, if you do the math, there are 4 Burning Wishes, there are 3 Empty the Warrens, that's 7 versus 4 Belchers, then it's no good this game.
And we see a storm counter has been put down. Oh boy.
Now here's the other thing too. The land that was in Hoey's hand, what was that land?
Forest.
So he doesn't have a fetch land yet. So he doesn't have red mana yet for the Whip Flare. So that's actually kind of important. Now Brainstorm can get him there, obviously. And if you take a look at the fetch land count, I think he's got 8 hiding out in there. He's got 4 Verdants, he's got 3 Misties, he's got 2 Wastelands will work, and he's got 4 Deltas. So he's got a lot of ways to be able to get to red mana. But right now, as it stands, he does not have it.
That Tinder Wall hanging out. Kind of perhaps a small inspiration for the Satyr Hedonist.
Yeah.
Right aflame.
We're moving in. And he knows the coast is clear from that Gataxian Probe. So, you know, if he wants to move in, he certainly can. And so, I mean, it feels like to me that he has the Empty the Warrens in his hand or a Burning Wish, and you just got to keep going.
Desperate Ritual.
So this brings him up to 3 minus 2 is 1 up to 4.
Charbelcher is one of those decks that, facing the right opponent, is one of the most devastating decks that you can play. Unfortunately, it also kind of has a big glass jaw. It doesn't like to see Force of Will, that's for sure.
Now here's a Belcher, no mana floating. And he's got 2 cards left in his hand that they're not going to be able to be hymned yet. So basically the Belcher is here saying, hey, I'm ready to go off at a moment's notice. All right, you got that?
Give me a second.
Yeah, just give me a second. I need a way to generate some more mana. Now, here is a Brainstorm for Hoey.
I don't think he saw any fetches. I think he found a Bayou. Am I wrong? Is there a Delta there?
Yeah, I don't think he found a fetch. I think it was like double Deathrite Shaman and a Bayou. I think that's exactly what ended up happening. So Deathrite Shaman is just going to be a lone 1/2. And trust me, it's not a comfortable feeling staring a Belcher in the face. Here is another Deathrite Shaman going to attack from 1 and cross his fingers. And because all of the rituals in this deck are so redundant, it's going to take kind of a miracle for Klopping to miss here. Yeah, there's a Chrome Box. That works.
Yikes.
He's going to imprint Manamorphose. He's going to tap that 2 mana, break that Lotus Petal, cast a Pyretic Ritual. That's going to be 3 mana. Target you. Hoey doesn't die if the Taiga is near the top.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Done.
That's it. That is it. Assuming that Dustin did not board in his forest, which we don't think that he did, there's the Taiga, and that is going to do it. So Dustin Klopping is going to win this match over Matt Hoey, 2-0. Goblin Charbelcher moving on. 5-0, Shardless Bug taking its first loss. Hoey is certainly going to be able to bounce back from this. He is a good enough player to do that, but for the Charbelcher player, a great start to the day.
Yeah. Now, one of the reasons you might be asking yourself, hey, why doesn't Matt Hoey have more Forces of Will? Well, if you've been paying attention to Legacy for some time, the grindy matchups that we see in Legacy, Force of Will is not the best in a grind.
Yeah.
It's awesome when you're dealing with somebody that's shoving all in and saying, you got it?
Yep.
But when you're dealing with another Shardless Bug, a deck, when you're dealing with Esper Stoneblade, when you're dealing with Rug Delver, Force of Will is not a great weapon.
Yeah, you do not want to go just 2-for-1ing yourself into the ground. Again, Force of Will is an incredibly powerful card in Legacy. Some would argue it's the card that does hold Legacy together. But again, this is a card that I think rightfully so has been cut down in numbers. Another deck that you didn't mention, but